So Joe, I can't remember if it was during our soundbite or a recent interview that we were talking about hosting events. And I say that with an emphasis that you'll clarify in a second as a form of content. People always say, oh, I need to create a PDF. I need to create an infographic or whatever. And events are a great lead generation tool and piece of content that you can use to really connect with your audience. And we have seen such success with that in our own business, but we call them events for a reason. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, because some research that Jay Schwelson did said that calling it a webinar reduces open rates on your emails promoting the webinar drastically. So you really don't want to call it a webinar because webinars are perceived as kind of boring. So you call it an event. I mean, somebody says, do you want to come to a webinar or you want to come to an event? I mean, it sounds a lot more exciting to be an event or, an online, I don't know, you can think of a whole bunch of different names, but webinar is just, it comes from seminar and nobody ever got excited about a seminar. So why would they get excited about a webinar?
So people often wonder what our biggest lead gen tool is for LiveStar to reach solopreneurs. And it is these events. This is not supposed to be a shameless plug, but we have 2 events a month that are free to solopreneurs. One is called Problem Solvers. One is called Solopreneur Success Sessions. Problem Solvers is for established solopreneurs. And it's a brainstorming event where people can help solve each other's problems instead of just throwing spaghetti at a wall. It's a great place for people to get feedback from those that are in a similar boat. They're also solopreneurs. And then Success Sessions is probably more of your typical quote unquote webinar format from a presentation standpoint. We have a guest every month that comes and gives educational information to our community and our listeners and viewers and solopreneurs that want to join. And people get excited for these because they provide real value. It's not boring. It's informative. It genuinely helps these solopreneurs and they keep coming back. And so many people think that they don't have the ability to put on these events, whether they're too small or they don't have a big community, and that just isn't true. And so, Joe, I want you to elaborate a little bit. I've kind of gone off on a tangent. You run it.
I mean, we call the one that you said is much more like a webinar. We call it a micro conference, which sounds a lot more, in my book, exciting than webinar. And I think, but the idea here is you're adding value. It's not a sales pitch masked as an event or a webinar or whatever you want to call it. It is truly something that adds value. We give a quick, minute long, hey, this is what we do, who we are, what we do. There's no strings attached. But, what happens is when people sign up, they give us their email address because that's the only way to get the invite. And once we have the email address, they're opted in to receive emails from us. We don't spam them, but we do send them stuff. And, over time, if they don't want the stuff, they unsubscribe, and that's fine. And if they do, great, we've got somebody engaged. But it's a pretty simple process. I mean, putting the events on took a little time to kind of work out all the different inner workings of doing it smoothly, but a lot of fun. I mean, it is a lot of fun too. I mean, when you get right down to it.
And once you get the technological side, the logistics and all of that down, it really doesn't take a lot of effort. I mean, honestly, Joe, you have to do the promo emails and all of that, but the actual running the event, especially if you have a guest speaker on, it's a time saving compared to if you're creating an infographic or something. This is such a great way to connect with your audience so easily, share your personality, share your knowledge, and not have to come up with content that you just aren't innately good at. But the other thing I will say is you can create other content from these events. You can take clips and repurpose it to YouTube, social media. You can get testimonials. We ask for testimonials after our event from people just so we can share that with others. It's such a time saver. And I feel like it's something that a lot of solopreneurs don't think about because they think it's slated for these bigger companies. And it's not true. As long as you have an audience and a targeted audience that you want to talk to, this is just such a great way to connect with them and to generate those leads. And since they've already seen your personality and who you present yourself as, they'll be more likely to work with you than if they were downloading a PDF or something. So we are huge fans of this.
Yeah, it's kind of humanizes you. It's not just, and you have a nicely designed PDF of something valuable. That's great. But when you start interacting with the actual person, that's a lot. And one of the things we do too, that we kind of invented this, but we just decided to do it for some reason, is after the event ends, we just stay around because it's on Zoom, and we just stay around and let people network, and we just kind of hang out. Just like you would at a real, if you went to a real event, right? And the event ends, you might hang around and chat with people for a while afterwards. And so we do the same thing, but it's on Zoom. And not everybody stays, but a lot of people do, and they really enjoy it. And we do it for half an hour. They drop off as they need to over the half an hour. But it's, it's a really neat little thing to do to kind of build more connection with people, connect people together. And I like it.
What's the saying? The proof is in the pudding. This isn't us trying to do a shameless plug for the entire episode, but we just wanted to share that it works. And we have seen firsthand that it works. The people that we've recommended it to say that it works for them. So I say give it a shot.
Absolutely.
Well, listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this Soundbite episode. We so appreciate your support. If you could leave that 5-star review, subscribe on your favorite platform, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would so appreciate it. And we will see you next time on The Aspiring Solopreneur.